Okay, hi everybody and welcome to week 3 of HTML. So last week we talked a little bit about style, so today we're going to learn a little bit more about style and learn how to build some more cool things on our page. But first we're going to play a little game of connect the dots. The dots I forgot to draw on the board, good job me. So what you're going to do is you're going to take a bullet point from the left side and try to connect it to the code on the right side. So we're going to start pretty easy from something from last week. How would you italicize a text?
I.
Yeah.
Use I.
You use the I for italics. So there's that. Now if you wanted to change the font to Comic Sans MS like we did to our banana page last week, how would you do that?
Do you just put font and then write Comic Sans?
Close. Okay, so we have two different tags here that can change your font. So which one do you think you would use?
One where it says Comic Sans.
Yes. So you change the font family to change the font. That's there. And then there's only one bullet point left, so it's kind of obvious. But how would you change the font size to 50 pixels?
What is pixel again?
Pixel is like a little box on your screen, like this big. And every image you see on your screen and every piece of text you see is made up of lots and lots of tiny pixels. So 50 pixels is like this big.
Okay.
Font size one.
Yes. So that's our warm-up for today. So now that we remember a little bit of what we did last week, we're going to head on over to the computer screen and see some more cool things you can do with CSS. Okay, so today we're going to learn a little bit about the div tag. And the div tag is a way to divide your page into different sections. So let's say we wanted to put all of these paragraphs into the same section. We could wrap them in a div. And then close this div down here.
What's div?
Div is short for division, so you can divide your page into different sections. So now all of these little things are in the same section.
Why don't they just say section then?
You know, I don't really know. Somebody who made HTML just really liked the idea of division instead of section. So now that all of these are inside a div, we can actually do stuff to this div in CSS. So we're going to learn today about the CSS box model. So in the CSS box model, there are 4 main parts. There's width, padding, border, and margin. And we're going to go through all of those right now. So first, you have to select the div. Does anybody remember how to select things in CSS?
I have no idea.
I don't know.
Okay, so to select stuff, you just type the thing you want to select. So in this case, we want to select div. We do this curly braces, only one set of curly braces. And then inside, we're going to do 4 different things. We're going to do width. Or let's start with width. So width is how wide something is. So like this table is about this wide. So for width of the div, we give it in pixels like we did with the font size, remember? So somebody give me a width, like a number.
49 pixels.
49 pixels, let's try it. So now, see how everything kind of got squished to the side? That's because this whole section right here is only 49 pixels wide. So let's make it a little bit wider so everything's still up here. Or we can leave it at 100, that works too. And then the next thing is padding. So padding is the space between the stuff inside the div and the border, which is the next thing we'll do. So for now, we'll put in a little padding of like 25 pixels. And see how everything moved over a little bit? That's because there's 25 pixels of space right here between the edge of the div and the stuff inside the div. So next, we're going to learn how to put a border on things. So a border is kind of like a frame. Does anybody have a picture frame on the wall in their house?
Yeah.
So this is another way to put a frame on your stuff. So for a border, what you do is you tell it how thick you want it to be. So let's say 10 pixels. And then you say like what color you want it to be. So let's say we want a black border. And then you say what kind of border you want. So you can do solid, dotted, or dashed. So we're gonna say solid. And see, now there's a frame around everything.
Oh.
So that's pretty cool, right? And now you see this 25 pixels of padding is this little space in between the text inside the div and the frame. So there's one more thing that you can do with the box model, and that's the margin. So let's see, somebody give me a number for the margin.
20.
20. So we're gonna say a 20 pixel margin, and see how the box all moved over to the right? It moved over to the right just about 20 pixels.
Let's try 50.
50? All right, let's do it. And now it moved over even further.
Let's try 100.
100. Okay, one more try. 100 pixels. And see how it moved over all this way? So it moved over to the right by 100 pixels, but it also moved down. So see how there's more space on top now? So basically a margin is all the space around the thing. So let's say if you wanted to put a picture next to it, the picture wouldn't be able to get any closer than about this much because you said that this box would have a 100 pixel margin.
I'm so confused. This is too difficult for me. Can we just play Scratch?
I'm sorry, but today we're working on HTML. I know this is kind of difficult right now, but I think once you get the chance to work on it for yourself, it'll be a lot easier to understand. So,
Okay.
we're gonna do one more thing, and then I'm gonna hand out a worksheet, and you guys can work on messing with these numbers and trying to see how it works for yourselves. Does that sound good?
Okay.
No, this sounds so boring.
Really?
I want to go home.
You know, there's only half an hour left in class. You can make it. I believe in you. So, we're going to do one more thing in class today, and that's going to be a table. So does anybody know what a table is?
No, I haven't heard of it.
Okay, so a table is a little bit different from like the table that you eat breakfast on or something like that. In HTML, a table is kind of like a chart that has a lot of different pieces of data in it. And that's used to like present information so that people can understand it more easily. So we're going to set it up. To make a table, you make a table tag. That was pretty easy, right? And then inside the table, you have 3 different kinds of things you can put in. First, you do a table heading. And that's first you do a row, actually. My bad. So in the first row, you do your table headings. So we're going to do name, close that tag, and favorite drink, close that tag. And now, if we scroll down here, we have a table that has name and favorite drink. So let's put in another row so you see how that looks filled out. So table. And then for normal information that isn't like part of the headings, you do TD for table data. So my name is Sarah, and my favorite drink is hot chocolate.
What's the difference between table heading and table data?
Okay, so if you scroll down here, one sec, see how the table heading kind of describes everything that's going to be in the column, while the table data is just like a piece of information in that column? So that's what the table headings do. They kind of describe everything that's going to be under it.
Can't we just do table data and then make it bold and it'll be the same?
You could actually. It would look pretty much the same. But if somebody is reading your code and trying to figure out what you're doing, then they might get a little confused and be like, why didn't he just use table heading when that's so much shorter to type? So let's put in a couple more rows. Michael, what's your favorite food or drink?
I like cherry lemonade.
Cherry lemonade. Good choice. Lemonade. Gian, what's your favorite drink?
I like milk.
Milk. That's good. Gian and milk. Let's close that row. So now if we scroll down, we have a nice little table of everybody's name and their favorite drink. But see how this looks kind of confusing because there's no lines and you can't really tell where one piece of data stops and the other one begins. So we can go over into the CSS and we can select table, TH, TR, TD. So if you want to give the same code to multiple things at the same time, you can just separate them with commas. So we're going to say for this one that the border is 2 pixels, and let's be blue and solid. So now everything inside is separated nicely so you can see it. Doesn't that look better?
What other lines can we do for the border?
For the border, you can do solid, like I said earlier, but you can also do dotted. So now everything is a bunch of little dots, see?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then you can also do dashed. So now everything is like little dotted lines. So that's pretty much all you can do with tables and the CSS box model. So now I'm going to hand out a worksheet and you guys can work on it for yourselves. If you have any questions about the CSS box model, because it can get pretty confusing, please feel free to come up to the front and ask me. Thanks.